Volunteer slavery has got me on the run. Oh, volunteer slavery has got me having fun. Oh, volunteer slavery. Oh, volunteer slavery. Oh, volunteer slavery.
Nowhere is volunteered slavery more obvious than in our education system. Large corporations are increasingly involved in setting the curriculum, and they want obedient followers, not critical thinkers. Our kids finish high school and are then qualified to be a fast food server, unable to get ahead, a slave to the economic realities. Or they go on to college and end up with a $50,000 student loan, and again are enslaved by the system of debt and usury. We have to stop the parrot training and offer our children a way out. The whole system needs a whack upside the head, and we're the ones to do it. Don't miss. What do you want to be when you give up?
We have to prepare our kids for the coming revolution. And it's not a revolution of violence, it's a revolution of consciousness, where people and the planet are most important, not power and profit. And it starts with education. Educators today, especially in America, want to put all students in a box the same shape and size, the cookie cutter model, rather than the New World model, which is to help students grow and reach their full potential. For this to happen, students have to be taught how to think. And there are schools all over the world that have regular classes on thinking and problem solving. There's a great book out there. It's called A Whack on the Side of the Head, where the author explains the 10 mental locks that stop us from thinking outside the box. The guy's name is Roger Von Oak. And he says that the older we get and do the same routines over and over again, the more functionally fixed we become. I did an experiment back in the 90s where I gave two groups each 3 minutes to come up with how many things they could do with a newspaper. The first group was a kindergarten class, and they came up with 25 things. Make a hat, a horn, a telescope, prop open a window, make a bat, cut it into confetti, make a grass skirt, on, 25 things. A group of newspaper managers came up with 3 things. Wrap fish and chips, line a bird cage, and put it down for painting. 3 things. And one of them wasn't even read it. I remember saying to them, wow, what do you do in meetings? Get together and see who falls awake first? This is what routine does. Kids go into school as a question mark and come out as a period. They're taught that there's one right answer. They're not taught to think. Thinking doesn't involve skills in math or science or history or literature or geography. I'll give you an example. A man builds a house with all walls pointing south. What kind of bear walks by? At first you think that's non sequitur, but then if you think about it, you realize there's only one place you can build a house with all walls pointing to the south, and that's on the North Pole. So it's a polar bear. Let me give you another one. A man walks out of his house into the pouring rain. He doesn't have a hat or an umbrella or a newspaper to put over his head or anything. He walks 100 yards to his car, and yet not a hair on his head gets wet. What do you think? Why is that, Sammy?
The guy was probably bald, Tim.
Bingo, Sammy. Turn your lights on, everybody. Don't let your kids become volunteered slaves. Water. It covers 2/3 of our planet. It's the most precious resource there is, and something that all living things need to survive. And yet we've treated it with less than contempt. We've polluted our oceans to the depths of the Marianas Trench. Our lakes and rivers and waterways have been subjected to countless oil spills, chemical dumpings, tailing pond overflows, radioactive waste, and raw sewage. Couple that with poorly regulated industry and corporate greed, and we're turning our most important resource into a cesspool. Just a few examples. Chesapeake Bay, the nation's largest inland sea, once responsible for providing fresh seafood to the entire eastern seaboard, is today all but dead. The blue crabs are nearly extinct. The oyster population is down to 2% of what it was when they regularly cleaned the bay. The bottom of the bay, known as the benthic habitat, which should be alive with seagrasses and a host of marine life, is a dark, lifeless place, now referred to as the dead zone. My good friend Andrew in trying to clean the bay with oyster cages, got some bay water in an open sore, and spent 18 months in the hospital with necrotizing fasciitis. That's a flesh-eating bacteria. Another example, thousands of children irreparably damaged by lead poisoning from their tap water in Flint, Michigan. The powers that be have unendingly proven they support industry over people, the economy over the ecology, and in large part, we're all responsible. Again, we trust our leaders. We sit by and passively watch the rampant, unchecked destruction go down. Take action. Do something about it. Join Michael Moore in finding Governor Snyder responsible for mismanagement or criminal negligence.
So what does volunteered slavery have to do with water? Well, do you like your water polluted or poisoned with fluoride or heavy metal? You think you should be denied free access to clean water?
Are you with me on this?
Well, there are corporations out there right now that think you don't have the right to access free, fresh water. They want to privatize it. And there's a day coming, believe me, when there will be wars fought over water. And what about fluoride? It's a chemical byproduct of the aluminum and fertilizer industries. The law forbid them from dumping this toxin into the water, so they created a need for it in our water supply in the name of dental hygiene. Want to hear a funny story? Only 2% of the tap water passes our lips. Coffee, tea, a glass of water, brushing our teeth. The other 98% goes down the drain, the kitchen sink, the bathroom drain, the toilet, the garden hose, right back into the waterways that they were forbid to dump it in. They're pretty clever. Fluoride may be good for your teeth, but it's very, very bad for your body. It's a toxic drug, and it's in 70% of America's water. 97% of Western Europe is fluoride-free. It's been linked to reduced cognitive ability, lowering IQ, bone damage, arthritis, chronic fatigue, poor thyroid function, and more. Stop those who are putting fluoride in your water. Join the Fluoride Action Network, FAN, FAN. Publicly shame any doctor or dentist who supports mass chemical poisoning. If you want fluoride, buy toothpaste with fluoride in it. And don't swallow it, or their propaganda. Don't be a volunteered slave.